Kozilek, the Great Distortion versus Lord Windgrace. Yeah, it's a case of seeing who can ramp out quicker this game. We actually don't have a whole lot going on there. We've got a lot of expensive stuff going, so I'm going to mulligan that. Well, that is even more expensive stuff. We actually don't have a whole heap of expensive things in the deck, but apparently they are all going to make their way to the top this game. We have a boatload of mana rocks in this deck. That is much better. And how many? Are we going to have to get rid of 2 cards? Yes, it's 2 cards, so we're just going to have to hope that we get into some more lands this game. Let's get rid of the command beacon and the Mage Ring Network. Kozilek the Great Distortion is a 10 mana Eldrazi, a 12/12 with Menace. When you cast this spell, if you have fewer than 7 cards in hand, draw cards equal to the difference, and then discard a card with CMC X to counter a spell with CMC X. Alright, there's another land for us. Ramunap Excavator, I'm not happy to see, because if our opponent gets into fetches, which I've no doubt they will, then they can definitely hit a land drop every turn. I'm more unhappy to see Mana Crypt, of course. Lord Windgrace is a 5 mana Jund commander, 5 loyalty. +2 is discard and draw. If you discard a land, you draw 2. -3 reanimates a couple of lands, and -11 destroy up to 6 non-land permanents. Create 6 2/2 forest walking cat tokens. Alright, Pithing Needle is actually pretty good. We can go for a mana rock into Pithing Needle. And then Pithing Needle comes down, and we will definitely name Lord Windgrace with that. And that means that even if they get their commander down, they can't activate his abilities. Might have been an idea to wait for them to play Lord Windgrace and then get this down, but they would have gotten an activation off with him then. This is assuming that they actually get into red mana, which they will thanks to Kadama's Reach. And they get down a Dryad Arbor as their land for the turn. And Ramunap continues to peck away at our life total. Not ramping out anywhere near as quickly as we would like, but we at least get into, Mana Rock into Palladium Mere is pretty good. Yeah, that accelerates our mana nicely actually. That means that if we get down Coalition Relic and put a charge counter on it and then get into a land or a Mana Rock next turn, that means that the turn after next we're online for Kozilek. So we'll just have to hope that our opponent doesn't do too much damage to us in the meantime. They're definitely in colours that can disrupt our artifact theme. And now it's Vraska, Golgari Queen. And they can sack a permanent to gain 1 life and draw a card, or they can destroy a target non-land permanent with converted mana cost 3 or less. They decided to do that on our Palladium Mere, and then a Blightning will make us discard our Coalition Relic, so things are not looking good for us. We need to get into some good stuff off the top. One of which is Golem's Eye. That is pretty good to see. Oh, and actually that's a misplay. We could have gone for Blink Moth Nexus there, animated it and killed off the Vraska. Yeah, that's a pretty bad play by me. How much mana are we on next turn? That's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, so we're really looking for a mana vault. Oath of Nissa comes down and they get to look at the top 3 cards of their library. I think it's, what is it? A creature, land or planeswalker they can add. And they've gone for Angrath, the Flame Chained, so this looks like it's a Lord Windgrace Superfriends deck. But they've instead decided to go for Chandra, Torch of Defiance. And then they can get down their Angrath, I think. Nope, they go for Arlinn Cord. So definitely Superfriends. This is a really interesting version of Lord Windgrace. Haven't seen Superfriends in Lord Windgrace before. They get down a wolf token with Arlin, and she transforms into her second form. And then Vraska gets plussed. We had every chance to get rid of her, but we didn't, so that's... yeah, that feels pretty bad. Let's go for Grim Monolith. And then if we attack into Vraska, they can't minus her down to destroy one of our artifacts, so I think we definitely go for Blink Moth. And we will go in at Vraska and then pass it over to our opponent. We are on 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 mana if our opponent does not disrupt us this turn. And that Angrath decides to come down. Each opponent discards a card and loses 2 life is the plus. They can also, it's actually an answer to our Kozilek, gain control of a target creature until the end of the turn. Untap it, it gains haste. Sack it at the beginning of the next end step if it has converted mana cost 3 or less. Right, so it actually isn't an answer to our Kozilek, thankfully. But I think it is too late for us because we're down to 6 life already. There is Mishra's Factory. We'll get that down before we play our Kozilek. And this is actually a very impressive win by the Lord Windgrace because it's not often you can get Superfriends working very efficiently. And a turn 6 win. I realised that we didn't really have any blockers or interactions with our opponent, but that's still pretty good going. Sorcerer's Spyglass. We could go for one of our opponent's commanders with that, but they can just go wide on us anyway. Yeah, they can just plus the Angrath to do 2 to us, and then that's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Either that or they plus with this. Creatures you control get plus. Yeah, there's nothing we can do here. We'll just go for the Lotus Petal. And the Sorcerer's Spyglass, just out of curiosity. We'll see if our opponent does anything here. We will name Arlin Embraced by the Moon. They won't be able to activate abilities there. And then we will allow our opponent to swing in for lethal on us. If we'd gotten down our commander a turn or 2 sooner, we might have been able to get some stuff going, but this is a pretty impressive win by our opponent nonetheless. Looks like it's some kind of token build. Oh yeah, and I forgot they can just take control of the Kozilek anyway with their Angrath. So they had multiple means of getting down the victory there. They could have gone wide on us anyway, but they decided to take our Kozilek away from us and get the win that way. That's a pretty interesting deck. Good version of Lord Windgrace, Superfriends. And we were running Kozilek, the Great Distortion. I'm tribalkai on the EDH channel. Thank you for watching. Let's see if we get some better luck this time around. We have Expedition Map, can go in for an Ancient Tomb into Grim Monolith, and yeah, I actually like what we've got going there. We're against Sydri, Galvanic Genius this time. Don't often see her played, so it's artifacts versus artifacts. Yeah, I think we'll get down the Zalfirin Void to get that free scry into play. Oh, and a Metalwork is really good. Yeah, the sooner we can get that going, the better. Immortal Sun, I don't think I want to see yet. No, I don't want to see that yet. We'll just get down the Expedition Map and throw it over. Now, we need to decide if we want to go Grim Monolith next turn into the Metalworker, or if we want to crack the Expedition Map for another land. I mean, we have land drops to make for the next few turns. Yeah, I think I want to get down the Metal Worker while our opponent is tapped out. The sooner we get down the Metal Worker, the sooner the Summoning Sickness is going to come off it. And we've got a high chance of drawing into more artifacts with this deck. Okay, there's a Tech Edge. We can definitely get some value by going after the Dimir Aqueduct with that once our opponent gets up to 4 lands. Yeah, we'll just tap down the Metal Worker. We'll reveal those to our opponent. That's 4 mana. Into the Golem's Eye. Then we can crack the Expedition map for an Ancient Tomb, I think. Play the Ancient Tomb. And then how about we just untap our Grim Monolith and pass the turn like that. This way we're online for getting down our Kozilek next turn. Now the question is, do we want to try and empty our hand a little bit more and lose a turn? That is Sly Requisitioner. Has Improvise. Whenever a non-token artifact you control dies, you get a servo. Okay. Duplicant. Yeah, we've actually got a pretty good hand going, haven't we? Let's go for that and that. We will get down our Misra's Factory. And we'll get down the Sorcerer's Spyglass before we cast our commander. Any activated abilities? I think that's one, isn't it? Yeah, we'll just name that. What's that? Panoptic Mirror. And then it's into Kozilek, the Great Distortion. We'll draw a bunch of cards. And we can get down that Mana Vault. And the Foundry Inspector. And then we'll have some artifacts to reveal to our opponent with the Metal Worker. And we'll probably use that mana to untap one of our rocks just in case we need to replay the Kozilek. I'm thinking we're going to end up duplicating something next turn. Because if our opponent gets down another creature, they can double block the Kozilek. And we want to hit our opponent twice with Kozilek for commander damage as soon as possible. And this may be a board wipe. Nope, it's just the Get a Verdict that we already knew about. Whenever an opponent discards a card, you may draw a card. So they might have wheel effects in the deck. Just say no to the Mana Vault. That will ping us, but I don't think it's going to matter. We will reveal a couple of cards with the Metal Worker. Then get down Duplicant. That will only cost 5 mana, thanks to the Foundry Inspector. And then how about a Geode Golem as well? We can use the floating mana to animate the Mishra's Factory. And we'll get down a High Market as well, just in case we want to sack one of our creatures. We'll swing in with everything. And our opponent needs either a board wipe or spot removal. They really need to do something about our board state right now. Well, Hammer its Archive isn't going to do a whole lot. Even if they have something like a Brainstorm, they'll draw a lot of cards, but I don't see that it's going to do anything for them. Yeah, all we do next turn is turn everything sideways and get lethal on our opponent. We were drawing into more ramp with Coalition Relic. That is much more of what the deck should run like. We want to get into land drops every turn. Lands that can tap for multiple pieces of mana are preferable. And then as much mana as we can get into with artifacts. It's all really just relying on drawing into the artifacts at the right time. Unfortunately, the previous game we just got into our really expensive stuff that we actually want to ramp into. We have way more mana rocks in this deck than any other deck I've ever built because we want to get into our 10 mana commander as soon as we possibly can. And we actually don't mind emptying our hand onto the board with lands and rocks, because our Kozilek will just refill our hand as soon as we cast it. So, hope you all enjoyed seeing that. That was Kozilek, the Great Distortion. This time we were up against Sydri, Galvanic Genius, but we were too fast for her this game, so unfortunately didn't see much from our opponent's deck. I'm tribalkai on the EDH channel. Thank you for watching.